So we'll take a moment to come to a comfortable seat. We'll take a few breaths, grounding into this moment, letting go of the rest of the day. Feeling the breath as it moves through your body. Noticing which parts of you move with your breath. Notice any places that might be holding on to some tension. Observing and noticing. Without necessarily trying to change anything. Take one more breath here. Then on an inhale, we'll sweep the arms up, lifting up out of the armpits, and exhale, twist over to the right. Taking the right arm behind you, left hand to the right knee. We'll drop the shoulders, take an inhale here, and exhale. And then inhaling, coming back to center, lifting the hands back up, lifting from the armpits, and exhale over to the left. Dropping the shoulders. We'll take a full breath here. And then inhale, we'll lift the arms back up, reaching them overhead. And then exhale, float the hands down. Inhale, reach up and lift up. And we'll press the hands together and then drop them back behind the head. And dropping the shoulders and really lifting up from the elbows. So you can even maybe take your hands apart a little bit more if that's more comfortable. Taking your hands to the back of the head, or just touching fingertips. We'll focus on having our energy drawing up from the base of the elbow, lifting up through the arm, through the armpit. And notice as we start to lift up, we engage through the muscles in the upper back. Taking one more full breath here. And we'll exhale to float the hands down. Then we'll make our way to tabletop position. Shifting onto all fours. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. And then we'll sink the hips down, back to the heels, coming into a child's pose. And then drop the head. But we'll keep the armpits lifted. We'll take a few breaths here. And you can stay here with your knees close together, or you can take them out wide, left to right. Then on our next exhale, we'll press the elbows down into the mat and lift the hands and bring the fingertips together again and drop the hands back towards the back. Repeating that movement, lifting, reaching forward rather with the elbows. So inching the elbows a little bit forward to feel that same stretch all along from the elbow into the armpit, into the pecs. Breathing into that area. Notice how it widens with your exhale, inhale. we'll float the hands back down in front of us, back over the head. And then walk the hands over off the right side of the mat. Beginning to lengthen through the left side. Stretching the muscles through the side, up into the rib cage, creating space. And then walking the hands back through center, and then over to the left, off the left side of the mat. Pressing into that right hand, feeling the stretch along the right side, into the right rib cage. Maybe you're feeling it more in the front of the ribs, or maybe around the back. Noticing what's going on in the hips as well. Then we'll walk the hands back to center and press ourselves back up into our tabletop position, back to all fours. We'll go through a little cat-cow flow, coming from the base of the spine first. We'll drop the belly towards the knees and lift the head and reach forward. And then exhale, rounding through the low back and dropping the head down. Inhale, drop the belly, reaching it back towards the knees, drawing the shoulder blades together. And exhale, rounding through the whole spine. And one more time as we drop the belly down, drawing the shoulder blades together, opening up through the front of the chest. And exhale, rounding through the spine. Dropping the head, really letting it hang, pressing down firmly through both hands. And then we'll come back to a flat back. And we'll reach the right toes back and rock into the right toes, forward and backwards, starting to get into the calf, into the foot, the fascia of the foot. And then we'll plant the right heel down and lift up on the right hand and reach up with the right hand, grounding into the left, looking up towards the right hand. And then following the fingertips with our gaze as we reach over the head, pressing back into that right heel. And then exhale, we'll come back to our tabletop position. Take a breath. Reset as we widen through the shoulder blades and lengthen through the back of the neck. And then we'll reach the left toes back and rock back and forth on the left toes, starting to press energy back through that heel, staying lifted through the abs. And warming up through the left foot into the left leg. And then we'll drop the left heel down and lift up with the left hand. Reach up towards the left, looking up towards the left hand. And then following your fingers with your eyes as you reach the hand over your head. Reaching firmly through the fingertips and pressing back down into the left heel. Engaging the whole left leg. And then exhale, we'll come back down to our tabletop position. We'll tuck the toes under and lift the knees just a few inches and let them hover, pressing out through the heels again and hugging in through the low abs, mid abs, all the way up to the rib cage, pressing firmly into the index finger and the thumb, and then we'll come back onto the knees. Let the toes rest and take a breath. And then we'll tuck the toes up under again, and this time we'll lift the hips up high into our downward facing dog, pedaling through the feet, lifting the hips up high, and staying firm through the abs. Pressing one heel down, looking up under the armpit, and then the other. And then we'll come back to stillness in our down dog for just a moment. And exhale, we'll press the chest down towards the knees. And then we'll walk the hands back to the feet. And lock ourselves into our forward fold and let the head hang. Lifting up through the sit bones, shaking out the head. Inhale, halfway lift. We'll pause for a moment, long through the back, long through the neck. And exhale, float all the way back down. Forward fold. Drop the shoulders. We'll take a breath here. And then inhale, we'll sweep the arms out wide left to right as we lift up and reach up. And exhale, we'll float the hands down halfway, coming to a T, dropping the shoulders down. Take another breath here, and on an exhale, we'll twist over to the right. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, we float all the way back down into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift again. Catch a wave, and then we exhale, float all the way back down. Inhale, lift all the way up, reach up to the sky. And then exhale, we'll float the hands down, pressing the fingertips down slowly. And come to our mountain pose. Letting the shoulders glide down the back as we lift up slightly through the navel and rotate the inner thighs towards each other. Inhale, sweep the arms up, look up towards the fingertips. And exhale, we float all the way back down. This time we'll plant the palms and take the left toes back. Come down onto the left knee. And inhale, lift up and reach up, pressing the right hip back into our low lunge. Exhale, come back to frame the right foot. Tuck the left toes under. Take the right foot back. We'll pause for just a moment in our plank pose, hugging them through the ribs, tucking the pelvis under. Take a breath. And then we'll come down onto the knees. And from here, we'll take the left foot to the left hand, coming into our low lunge from a different perspective. And inhale, we'll sweep the hands up and reach up long through the belly. And exhale, we come back down to frame the left foot, tuck the right toes up, and take the left foot back. Hug the elbows into the chest as we lower all the way down onto the belly. Inhale, lift the chest, look forward into our baby cobra. And exhale, float the head back down. Come up onto the all fours. And then we'll press the heels back, hips back to the heels. And come into our child's pose. Inhale, lift back up onto all fours. Come all the way down onto the belly. Forehead down on the mat. Inhale, lift up into cobra. And exhale, float the forehead back down. Inhale, press back up onto all fours. And hips back to the heels into our child's pose. We'll take a breath here. And then inhale, we'll press back up onto all fours. Tuck the toes and lift the tailbone, reaching up towards the sky, sinking back into the heels into our down dog. This time working to notice your hands pressing into the index finger and the thumb, rotating the shoulders outward so those elbow creases point towards the index finger. And sinking the heels down a little bit farther maybe. And bending through the knees and looking to the hands, we'll step up the feet to meet the hands. Take a breath in our forward fold. And then inhale, we'll sweep all the way back up, reaching up for the sky. And exhale, float the hands down, clawing through the air as we press the air away. Take a moment in our mountain pose to reset. Then bending through the knees slightly and tipping forward just a little bit, moving our center of gravity. And then we'll exhale and take the right foot back, keeping the left knee bent. And once we have our stability here, we'll inhale and sweep the hands up into our warrior one. Looking up slightly, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears. On your inhale, reach up a little bit higher. And on your exhale, we'll straighten the left knee and swim the hands forward, coming down towards that left foot. So we'll go through that flow a few more times. Inhale, sweep the hands up, bend the left knee, reaching up. And exhale, straighten the knee, sweep the hands down towards the floor. And one more time, inhale, sweep them up, bending through the left knee, reaching up. And exhale, diving back down, straightening through the knee. We'll pause here. And then turn the right toes, so we're back up onto the right toes. We'll give ourselves a little bounce through the right knee and bounce our feet back up together. Bounce that right foot to meet the left. Take a breath. Sinking the head down and the shoulders down. And on your next inhale, we'll inhale to sweep back up, arms reaching out wide to the side before reaching up to the sky. And then floating the hands back down. And bending through the knees again and tipping forward just slightly here. And then we'll exhale the left foot back, coming onto that left heel. Right knee over right ankle. We prep for our warrior one on this side. And inhale, we'll sweep the hands up and reach up, look up. And exhale, straighten through the right knee and float the hands down to frame the right foot. Inhale, lift up, bending the right knees, reach up. And exhale, float the hands down, straighten through the right knee. And one more time, we'll inhale, sweep up, bending through the right knee, looking up. And exhale, we float back down to frame the right foot, straightening the right knee. Turning the left toes to face forward. And then we'll bounce through the left knee. Give us a little head start. And then bounce the left foot up to meet the right. And from here, we'll reach the fingertips back behind the back, interlace the fingers, and reach up high with the fists, rotating those shoulders outward and lifting up with the fists. We'll take a few breaths here, opening up through the front of the shoulders, drawing the shoulders down away from the ears as we lift the fists up high to the sky. And then exhale, float the hands back down. And then grasp opposite elbows. And now use that energy to draw the shoulder blades open apart, countering the pose we were just in. With every breath, feeling that space between the shoulder blades widen. And then we'll inhale and reach all the way up, sweeping the arms out wide. And then we'll clap the hands together, leaving them together. And then exhale, we'll tip over towards the right side. And we'll really focus on lifting up through the left rib cage, feeling those left ribs rise up to the sky. Breathing here. And then inhale, we'll lift back up. And exhale, drop over towards the left. And again, this time, we'll focus on that right rib cage, lifting up from the base of the right ribs, lifting it up towards the sky. Opening up, giving ourselves space to breathe. We'll take one more breath. And then on an inhale, lift back up. And exhale, float the hands down. We'll bend through the knees and bring the hands in front of us, pressing the hands together in front of the chest. And then we'll take the hips back a little bit more, coming into our chair pose, reaching back with the hips, reaching them farther, farther, coming to a place that's comfortable for you and hugging up through the abs. And then we'll shift the weight into the toes and lift up from the heels. And then come back down onto the heels and lift the toes. And then come onto the toes and lift up through the heels. Notice how it changes your breath when you're on your toes. We'll take a few breaths here on our toes. And then exhale, we'll come back down, float the hands down, drop the head, shake out the head, back to our forward fold. Drop the shoulders, really drop the shoulders. Feel them release. Feeling the energy tumble off of your back down into the ground. We'll take one more breath. And then inhale, reach the arms out to the side and come up halfway. Pause for a moment, long neck. Take another breath. And then we'll inhale, sweep all the way back up. And then exhale, we'll press the air away like it's heavy, all the way back down. And then we'll take the feet out wide, left to right. And we'll turn the left toes out to the side. And coming into our warrior two. So maybe you want to widen your feet a little bit more. Find a comfortable stance where the left heel is bisecting the arch of that right foot. And then we'll bend into the left knee. Sweep the arms up halfway. And then look over towards the left hand. Pressing into the side edge of the right foot, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears. And then we'll sink a little bit lower into that left knee. And inhale, we'll straighten the knee and lift up, look up. And exhale, press back down into our warrior two. Inhale, lift up, press up, straighten up. And exhale, pressing back down to our warrior two. And one more time, inhale, reaching up, long through the belly, and then exhale, pressing down, slow, heavy, back to warrior two. And then we'll straighten the left knee and take the toes forward, and then take the right toes out to the side. And shift your feet as needed. Set up for our warrior two on this side. And then we'll bend into that right knee. And then look over towards the right middle finger, dropping the shoulders down. Inhale, we'll straighten the leg, reach the hands up, touching or not touching, you decide. And then exhale, press back down into warrior two. Inhale, reach up, straighten through the knee, reach up high through the armpits, and exhale, press back down. And one more time, we lift up and reach up and look up, and exhale, pressing back down into our warrior two. Then we'll straighten through the right knee and shift both toes forward. We'll come into our star pose. And on an exhale, we sink all the way down into our wide-legged forward fold. Drop the head. Keep the knees just barely bent so we don't hyperextend through the knees. Then on an inhale, we'll reach the hands back behind the head and interlace the hands and just allow the head to drop down a little bit more. And then reaching through the elbows again. We'll find that same movement where we're really reaching the elbows down towards the ground, increasing that stretch through the back of the arm, the underside of the arm, all the way up to the armpit, into the back muscles. Active through the arms. And then exhale, we float the hands down. Inhale, lift up and reach all the way up. And on exhale, we press the air away, lowering the hands halfway back to our star pose, our power pose. Hugging the low abs in. And then we'll see if we can heel toe the feet together. Hugging in through the abs to create some stability. And then bringing the feet all the way together, really together. We float the hands back down. Bring the toes to touch without looking down. Observing where your feet are in space without having to see them. And then we'll turn towards the short edge of the mat here. And take another inhale to reach the arms up. And then float all the way back down into our forward fold with our feet all the way together, really together. And then on an inhale, we'll reach up halfway lift and bring the arms out to the side. You can have them straight out to the side or at a little angle like airplanes. And then we'll slide the right toes back. We'll stay up on the right toes, staying lifted through the abs as we lift the right foot up off the ground, coming into a warrior three variation here with the toes dialing down towards the ground, staying lifted through the abs, lifting up out of that left hip. We'll take another breath here, playing with our balance. If we fall, the ground will catch you, and we'll come right back. And then exhale, we float the feet down, float the head down, back to our forward fold. We'll take a breath and just observe the feet and the ankles. Notice anything that you feel through the left side and the right side. And then inhale, we'll halfway lift again, taking the arms out to the side as we prep for our warrior three on the other side. And then we'll slide the left toes back, staying on the left toes for a moment or for the whole thing. It's depending on your balance and where you are today. And then we'll slowly start to glide the left toes up a little bit, relaxing through the face and the shoulders, finding our balance on this side, actively pressing down into the right foot, into that big toe mound. Take another breath to play here. And then exhale, we drop the feet, drop the hands, and then drop the hips down to the heels. We'll come into a little squat, and then rounding the head forward, we'll come into a little ball. Taking all the pressure off of the low back, feeling the shoulder blades widening as we drop the head down. Taking a moment to relish the pose. And then walking the hands back behind us to support us, we'll come back all the way on into a seated position. And we'll leave the knees out forward. And we'll have the knees bent. And we'll take the hands to the underside of the thighs. And using our hands to draw the chest forward, we'll work on coming up to really straight back, really staying lifted through the chest, drawing it towards the knees. And then keeping that straight back feeling, letting the neck be an extension of the spine. So maybe shifting the chin back a little bit in space. Now we'll come up onto the toes, and tipping backward a little bit on the tailbone. We'll start to lift up through the toes, coming into a boat pose, modified boat pose. We'll lift the toes a little bit higher, staying firm through the abs, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears. And then we'll come back forward, letting the feet drop. And then one more time, we'll hang on to the back of those thighs and draw the chest forward. Like we're pulling the shoulder blades together behind us. And then drawing the chin back. So the neck is one long extension of the spine. And then we'll tip back onto the tailbone, rolling back a little bit and lift up through the toes. Keeping the shoulders drop down away from the ears. And the chest reaching forward towards the knees. And that head in line with the spine. And then exhale, we bring it all the way back forward and drop the head over the knees and allow it to rest comfortably into our little cave. We'll take a breath here. And then we'll come back up and come to an easy seated pose. Whichever leg in front is comfortable. And we'll take another breath here. And on an inhale, we'll bring the hands up to the shoulders. And drop the shoulders down away from the ears. Take a nice inhale, we lift up through the chest, and exhale, we twist over towards the right. Inhale back to center. Lifting the chest as we exhale and twist over towards the left. Inhale back to center. And from here, we'll take the hands back behind the head again and reach up through the elbows. Resting the head back into the hands. Pressing the head back into the hands and the hands into the head as we reach up through the elbows. We'll take another breath here. And then we'll exhale the hands back down. And from here, we'll reach the legs out forward. Come to a staff pose. Lift the toes up towards the face, pressing the thighs down into the ground, and lifting up through the crown of the head. We can just have the hands resting comfortably on the thighs for a moment. And then on an exhale, we'll twist over towards the right, taking the right hand back behind us, left hand to the side of the right leg. With every inhale, we lift a little taller from the crown. With every exhale, we twist maybe a little bit more. Inhale brings you back to center. And exhale, twist over towards the left, bringing the left hand behind you, the right hand to that side of that left leg. And inhale, we reach a little bit taller. And exhale, we sink those left ribs maybe a little bit more towards the left. Twisting from the torso, but allowing the hips to kind of shift with you if they will. I'm not cranking too much through the neck, having most of the twist coming from the torso, from your rib cage. Now inhale back to center. And draw the knees back into the chest and give them a squeeze. We'll reach the hands forward, long in front of us, feeling the shoulder blades widen left to right here. And then we'll slowly lower all the way down onto the back, tipping the tailbone first, hugging in through the abs. And then low back, mid back, upper back, drop the head, drop the hands. And then we'll keep the soles of the feet together and drop the knees out wide into our reclined butterfly pose. Noticing how the sacrum, the tailbone stays on the ground and the low back lifts slightly into natural arch. Letting the thighs be heavy, the knees be heavy. And observing the breath. Inhale lifts up your belly. And exhale, your belly sinks down towards the ground, and with your exhale, we'll tilt the tailbone, press the low back all the way into the mat as we release all the air from our breath, and then lift the head up. Keep breathing, and reach the hands in between the knees. And then we'll pulse here, do our little baby pulses here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release the head, release the hands down to the thighs. We'll take a breath. Allow the natural arch to come back to your back. And release the shoulders. Allow them to sink back down into the mat. And roll the head side to side. bring the head back to center. Inhale, filling up the belly like a balloon filling up, and then exhale, we press all the air out as we draw the low back down flush with the mat. Then reach the hands forward towards the toes. Keep breathing, but keep the low back flat towards the mat as we pulse here again for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release, relax the head, relax the hands down to the side. Notice the natural arch of your low back coming back into play. And allow the shoulders to drop down. As we take another breath. And then we'll draw the knees back together. And slide the heels towards the bum. And we'll reach the hands up, straight up towards the sky. Interlace the fingers into a fist. And then on our inhale, we'll lift the hips up into our bridge pose. Lifting the hips up high and pressing the shoulders down, firmly down into the mat. Really sinking the shoulders down into the mat, pressing down actively with the shoulders as we lift up through the hips. And then exhale, we float the hips down and we reach up high with the fists, drawing the shoulder blades wide. As we breathe into that space between the shoulder blades and lift the fists up higher. And then release the shoulders and keep the fists up. And we'll go through that one more time. So inhale, pressing down into the heels, we lift the hips up high and press the shoulders all the way down into the mat. Feeling the shoulder making connection to the ground, all the way from the side of the shoulders into the shoulder blades. And then exhale, we lower the hips, release the shoulders, and then reach the fists up high, active through both arms, reaching up through the armpits, feeling the space between the shoulder blades widening. And then relaxing through the shoulders, drawing the hands back down to the side. And take a breath. Release the shoulders. Release the low back. Feeling the low back coming back to its natural arch, wherever that may be for you. Allowing any tension to release from there. And then hug the knees into the chest, and we'll rock side to side onto the low back. And then we'll reach for the right heel or ankle or calf, wherever you can grab onto, and extend the left foot up high. And we'll draw the right knee down towards the ground into a little bow and arrow. You can take the left hand to support the back of the left thigh as we draw down through the right knee. And we'll keep both feet engaged. So we're pressing energy out both heels and lifting the toes. We'll take another breath here. Fully inhaling into the diaphragm. And then we'll swing back to center. Draw both heels back into the bum. Draw the knees into the chest. We'll rock side to side. feeling all along the spine. Noticing if there's any area that really needs a little rock and roll massage. And getting into that. And then we'll come back to center. And we'll reach for the left outside of the foot or ankle or shin or wherever you can grab hold. And then extend the right foot straight up. And then we'll draw that left knee down towards the ground, down towards the side, tipping onto the hip a little bit here, getting into the left hip, maybe hanging onto the back of that right thigh for support, and reaching the heels up, tipping the toes back towards the face. Engaging through that right quad, so lifting up through that kneecap, feeling the thigh engage. As we sink that left knee down a little bit farther into the ground. We'll take another breath here in our bow and arrow. And then inhale, we'll come back to center, draw both knees in, and rock side to side. And then take the knees out wide and rock side to side, massaging more into the hips. Letting the head roll along with you. And maybe taking any other movement, maybe rolling through the wrists, rotating through the wrists or the ankles. Taking whatever movement you need here. And then we'll come back to center. And we'll take the arms out wide and drop the knees over towards the right. And shift the hips a little bit, if that's more comfortable, lining up the spine. And then sinking the knees down. We'll be here for a few breaths. Allowing for an opening across the chest as we drop the left shoulder down towards the mat. Feeling into that left side. Feeling as we create space, lengthening. Noticing the stretch from the left armpit all the way down to the left hip. And we'll take one more breath on this side. Full 4 count inhale, 4 count exhale. Then inhale, draw the knees back to center. Shift the hips back to center, line up the spine. And we'll take a breath here, just for a moment. Observing the left side and the right side. Notice where you feel heaviness or lightness. Then on an exhale, we'll tip the knees over towards the left. Maybe we want to shift the hips a little bit again, coming more up onto the left hip. And then we'll sink the right shoulder down. guiding it down towards the mat. Slowing down the breath slightly. Having the breath originate from the abdomen. Hearing the breath. Then inhale your knees back to center. Lift the hips to reset the spine. And then we'll float the arms down to the side and let the legs fall down in front of you. And let the feet flap open. And shift as necessary, taking any last movements that you might need, getting out any kinks. Allowing for a comfortable resting pose. And we'll be here for a few minutes. We'll take this time to notice any sensations. Notice your forehead. Do you feel coolness or warmth? See if you can relax the space between your eyebrows. And then feeling into your neck. Noticing if it feels cooler or warmer. Allowing your jaw to relax, your tongue to come down to the floor of your mouth. And come to your shoulders. Notice if one side is cooler or warmer. Notice where your shoulders make contact with the mat. Coming into your arms and hands. Feeling the air on your arms. Feeling the texture of the mat beneath you. And coming down to the hips. Feeling the ground rise to meet you and support you. And feeling into your right leg. Noticing any areas of warmth or coolness. Any sensations. Maybe you notice the feeling of your clothes on your right leg. And coming into your left leg. Noticing if it feels heavier or lighter than the right. Notice if you can feel the pulsing of your circulatory system. And notice your feet. Where do they meet the ground? And feel the support of the earth beneath you. And come back to your breath. Following your breath in and out. And gently start to deepen your breath. Maybe even let out a little sigh. Rotate through your feet, your hands. And as you're ready, draw your knees up. And gently roll onto one side or the other, your favorite side. And we'll pause for a moment here in our fetal position to feel the support of the earth again. Like a cocoon. As you're ready, gently press yourself up to seated. And we'll come to our easy pose and take a breath. And notice how you feel.